I absolutely adore the Paper Mario games. It's a series that's been so underutilized over the years. I mean, yeah, we had Sticker Shock for the 3DS, but that was an abomination. And we also had that crossover between the Mario and Luigi series, but that really wasn't a traditional Paper Mario game. What I love are the original two, you know, the one for the N64 and the GameCube. It has so many things that regular Mario games don't. Character depth, friggin' humor, and an actual plot.
Well, a few months ago a new game was announced, and I couldn't be happier. But with this game comes worry, a feeling that Nintendo might once again release a game that is trying to reinvent the wheel. Something Nintendo has done with many of their other series in the past. Metroid. Star Fox. Pokemon. Well, actually this game was kick-ass, don't you ever talk shit about Pokemon Snap! But I'm talking about the later entries in the Paper Mario series. The games that just weren't as fun as their predecessors. So let's talk about Paper Mario. Or rather, what the fuck happened to Paper Mario. Alright, so many of you may not know exactly who or what Paper Mario is, so I'll explain it as fast and as simple as I can. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. Essentially, it's the Mushroom Kingdom made of paper. The characters, the locations, not the birds though. Those are still 3D, because that'd just be silly. Aesthetically, that's about it. The main difference between these games and other typical Mario games is that it's a role-playing game, where you fight enemies in battle sequences. You collect items and level up your party of characters, and you actually go on an adventure with well-written dialogue. But right now what I want to focus on is the main games, the first 3 that were released on consoles. What was great about them and what was not so great, as well as what can be taken from them to make the newest entry in the series awesome. The 4th game is just utter garbage. It pretty much took out everything that made the series enjoyable, so I won't even bother covering that one. It's these 3 main games that I want to focus on, so let's jump right in with the first in the series. Paper Mario for the N64. This game came out in 2000 and man does it hold up. Right off the bat we're introduced to the paper version of the Mushroom Kingdom, where we quickly learn that mostly everything from regular Mario is present. Mario jumps around like an idiot, we have Goombas and Koopa Troopas, Peach is kidnapped again, there is cake, and Luigi is salty about not going on the adventure with Mario. Watch the house while I'm gone, nerd. But this game is so much more than a typical Mario game. First off, it has a great battle system that actually takes some thought to use. You can't just jump on every enemy in Mario fashion. Some have spikes, so you might have to bring out your hammer or use one of your partner's abilities. The partners themselves are made up of typical Mario baddies. These range from a hot-headed Pink Bomb to a stuck-up Princess Boo. The best thing about them is that they all have their own personalities, which is great considering most Mario characters are so lifeless. Looking at you, Peach. One of the best things about this game though is that it's filled with humor. For once, the Mushroom Kingdom is actually given some personality, which it's so desperately needed over the years. This game took a chance and explored the world of Mario like no other has, which is great, because this is a world that can be interesting. I know all this guy does is smash turtles, but believe me, it's a good story. Anyway, let's move on to Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. Alright, in my opinion, this game is the best in the series, and one of my favorite video games overall, and I'll tell you why. This game pretty much took everything that made the first one awesome and turned it up to 11. First off, they added this cool theater-like area for the battle sequences, and a meter for an audience. Essentially, the better you play, the bigger the audience you attract, and this means that you can obtain your special abilities just by playing the game better. The characters have so much more personality than before, especially the bosses, who are all just a blast to fight. Except for this one, I mean, it's okay, it's just a ball. Holy shit! That's fucking awesome! That's fucking awesome! This game just has everything. There's a section where you get shipwrecked on an island and have to find a lost treasure. How fucking cool is that? In another part, you enter a fighting tournament where you have to work your way up the ladder to become the champion known as Gonzalez. Hell, you even get mixed up with the Mafia at one point. And just so we're clear, if you don't find my daughter, your luck may turn terrible. What the fuck is this doing in Mario? The whole game in general is just filled with so much more content than before. From the areas you visit, to letting you control Bowser in small 2D sections like this one. This time around, they even gave Mario different paper-like abilities to help him solve puzzles, like transforming into a paper airplane, or even a boat. I have no idea why this wasn't in the first game. I mean, he's made of paper, the game's Paper Mario. The partners are so much more fleshed out as well. Each one has their own backstory and legitimate problems they deal with. My favorite character in the series, Vivian, was once a villain, but she gets pushed around by her sister to the point where she ends up joining Mario. The character Bobbery used to be a sailor whose wife passed away while he was at sea. This filled him with guilt and he vowed to never sail again. This is some pretty heavy stuff for Nintendo. You also get a Yoshi as a partner and you can name him whatever you want. But in general, the writing in this game is phenomenal. They make you care about these characters. I genuinely felt sad at points, and I also laughed out loud a few times at the dialogue. This right here, this is what Paper Mario should be, but I've said enough about that. Let's move on to the problem child, Super Paper Mario. So by reading the title again and the process of elimination, you can kind of assume this is the bad game. Before I get into it, let me just say I actually enjoyed this game. I would even call it a great game. It's just not a great Paper Mario game. and here's why. As soon as the game starts, my biggest complaint comes in. The idea that the world of Paper Mario is completely 2D, which after showing you footage from the last 2 games, you can tell is just wrong. They've done this opening shot of Mario's house in every game, so let's compare them. Here's the first games, here's the second one, and this is the third one's. See the difference? The third game is entirely 2-dimensional. Now we know that the Paper Mario world is 2.5 dimensional. The characters are all flat, but they can move up and down in a 3D plane. Super Paper Mario takes place almost entirely in 2D. During the course of the game, Mario is given the ability to flip the world back into a 2.5D view, but this only lasts for a limited amount of time, and it still doesn't compensate for playing the entire game from a side view like traditional Mario. The worst part is that the game completely disregards this fact, and tries to integrate into the story as if it's always been a thing. Dude's like, now you can cross between the second and third dimension, and Mario's like, yeah, no shit. How do you explain this fucking bird? As usual, this is Nintendo trying to be innovative, but in this case, it's them trying to fix something that isn't broken, which in turn creates an entirely different experience. This was an RPG, now it's a platformer, as if we needed another one of those. For me personally though, it's what they did to the partners in Super Paper Mario. Your team that joins you this time around couldn't be more lifeless. The partners in the original 2 games are fantastic. They all have unique individual personalities that set them apart from each other. And this is why you remember characters like Cooper, Goombella, and Vivian, and not characters like Square. And Hand. Music note, the gang's all here. Because these characters have personality and these ones don't. Hell, they're not even aesthetically appealing. Fucking box. Finally, the battle mechanic is just the worst. The battle mechanic. Yeah, there isn't one. It's literally just a Mario side-scroller again. It seemed more as if they were playing it safe for this game. They took that small fun Bowser section of the second Paper Mario and turned it into a full game, which they should have left as a small fun section. That's why we only did it 2 times.
Okay, so that's what I think of the Paper Mario games. So what can Nintendo do to make the next game in the series fucking awesome like the original 2? Now I could just say, well, make it like the first 2, but that would be too easy. I mean, games have to grow, they have to change whether we like it or not.
Think of Super Mario 64. If the sequels had you doing literally the same shit, you'd inevitably say, okay, I've done this before. Instead, they added a whole water system in Sunshine and a skewed gravity theme in Galaxy. And both, depending on who you're asking, worked fucking well. It evolved the series itself, but it didn't take away anything from the core gameplay. Paper Mario, however, did remove core gameplay when they released Super Paper Mario. Without interesting characters, RPG gameplay, and literally making it into another Mario platformer, they created something way too far from the originals.
So far from what this 30-second trailer shows us, it looks like they're trying something new, which is fine as long as it doesn't take away from what the series is all about. A really great role-playing adventure game with an awesome fucking plot. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, thanks for listening to me rant about Mario again. If you like what you saw, subscribe for more content like this, and tell me in the comments below which Paper Mario is your favorite. It better not be Sticker Star. If it's Sticker Star, just leave. Bye!
This shouldn't be in Mario. When you do get to play them, the mini-games are pretty damn good, especially the Bowser ones. But the problem with Mario Party 10 is, much like the 9th, it's still too far from the original games. The first trailer for Super Smash Bros. Brawl opens up with one of the coolest transitions ever, having all our favorite Nintendo characters jump into the screen from their previous game's look, and then have them transform into the more realistic versions of themselves. As a kid, I went absolutely